When you think of self-care, what role does self-compassion play? Many people associate self-care with things like exercise, eating well, stress management, getting enough sleep, even spending time with family and friends. But we don't often account for our brutal self-talk. It's like a dam with a hole in it. It creates an energy leak, and the higher the pressure is, the more energy we leak. This is energy that we could be spending on being more effective, more productive, on being less reactive in relationships, on just being happier. So how do we plug the leak? There's a simple process. First, we have to notice our brutal self-talk. One way of noticing it is to be very mindful of when we're making judgments. Judgments of ourselves, judgment of others, or judgment of circumstances. Once judgment enters into place, it's like a boomerang effect, and we start to judge ourselves even more. Once we notice the judgment, we want to create some distance from it. One way of doing that is to label it as the thoughts of the judge. The judge thinks I'm stupid. The judge thinks that person shouldn't have cut me off. The judge thinks coronavirus is ruining everything. Once we've created that little bit of distance, it's helpful to get out of our head and into our body to create even more distance. So right now, let go of your thoughts and focus all your attention on the sensations in your feet. Notice where your feet are touching the ground, what pressure points there are. What parts of your feet do you notice most frequently? If you find yourself getting into analysis mode or any other modes of thought, just celebrate the catch and return your focus to the sensations. After you spend a little bit of time becoming very present and mindful, you're creating even more distance from judgment. Then it makes it a little bit easier to see alternate perspectives. And so try to come up with a few. So for example, if the judge says, I'm stupid, what can you learn from your mistake? How can it help you to avoid mistakes like that in the future and be even stronger for it? If the judge thinks that person shouldn't have cut me off, how can you have empathy for that person? Maybe they're having a really rough day. It's an emergency. They're so self-absorbed that they just don't even notice other people. Not that that's necessarily right or wrong. It's just what it is. Coronavirus has created a lot of sadness and fear and death. But it's also brought us together as humanity to fight a common enemy, which has given us now a training ground so that if things like this occur in the future, we're better prepared to figure out how to cooperate with each other. It's not about getting the right perspective. It's just about seeing that there's more ways of looking at the situation. This makes it easier for us to have compassion for ourselves. So think about if you were a child, if you were a loved one, what's the most comforting and empathetic thing that you could say to help that person feel better? What do they really need to hear? Do they need a hug? You know, you can simply just kind of rub your arms gently and people will just think that you're cold, but it releases oxytocin, which increases feelings of love and connection. You may even want to consider, is there someone who you respect who's experienced something similar? So you see you're not really in this alone. Other people go through the same thing. These are all different techniques that can be used to quiet that really brutal voice so that you have more energy for dealing with the issue at hand, for strengthening your relationships, for just having more happiness. I've experienced this, my clients have experienced this, and it's one of the reasons I teach a monthly class for Job Search 101 on self-care during the job search. Upcoming classes are Friday, September 17th and Friday, October 29th, both at 10 a.m. Central Time. Everyone is welcome. They're free. I would love to see you there if you're interested.